Alright, hello again everyone. We're going to finish up this tournament with Headsup with Gamby 17. Starting right out, he limps the button, which is a very good sign. Limping the button, I've played against players that do that many times in cash games, and I tend to do very well against it. I made the straight on the turn, and I elected not to ship back. Didn't think he was he was either nutted or not very strong, and I wanted to give him a chance to put some money in. Didn't work out that well for me. Probably should have shipped it, but he may not have called anyway. He had a 9, and so now we know that we also got the information that he's limping hands like 9 deuce on the button. So what I'm going to do is open my range up. I'll attack his limps a little bit wider, probably any ace. Otherwise, I'm just going to see flops with it. Much better than having to fold to a min raise. If he's going to limp, I'll just see some flops and try to hit. On my buttons, I'm going to be very aggressive here. I'm never limping. Always raising. I'm going to raise most hands. When he raises his buttons, I'm going to fold most of my hands. Especially since I have the chip position, I can be patient. I want to see hands in position, and I don't want to have to gamble out of position. Uh, 9-6, not really good enough. We'll just let that one go. And that's okay. We got plenty of time. We don't want to be getting into marginal spots. There's no reason to get into a marginal spot. I don't even like this. I think looking back on it, I would have folded the 10-8. As it happens, he checks the flop, gives me a chance to hit on the turn. He makes a min bet. I'm just gonna call. I'll call another min bet, even like a half pot bet on the river. So he had ace king, yeah. So he even on the flop, he's likely to be the best hand. There's no reason to give me a chance to hit on the turn. And just keep up the aggression here with the jack 8. He seems to be folding out of position enough that I'm going to keep raising. The king 4 would be an okay spot to 3-bet, I think. But and I was thinking about it, but the king 4 suited. But again, I've got plenty of chips, so I just let it go. This tournament has a lot of play in it still, so there's no reason to start pushing marginal lines. I've played enough heads up in cash games, and that I believe I have a way advantage, especially considering the chips. And limping the button shows that he's not quite as adept at heads up. And I'm trying to make decisions really quickly. I want to see as many hands as possible before blinds go up. I don't want to be in a position where he's having to push. If I can keep from it, I would prefer to whittle him down so that he could double up even twice and still not win. And he min docks here for the first time. I'm going to be normally pretty aggressive towards min docks. Even here, I had the ace high. It would have been a decent spot to get aggressive, but But I still got the decent chip lead, and I'm thinking I'll let him think he can do that. I want him to donk here in the future. I don't really like his check back here on the flop. I don't understand it. So I elect not to bet my 10, and I hit my 2 pair on the river, and he finally makes a bet. Um, I think it would have been a fold normally. I was more curious. Possibly had ace king, ace queen that I could have picked off, or I mean, excuse me, ace king that I could have picked off. But I figured he was pretty strong there. I was kind of curious. Yeah, I could have kept up the aggression there with the 6-7. He's getting a little closer in chips here, though, so that would change my strategy a little bit. I'm gonna have to gamble a little bit. Have to take some chances to get him to fold. Uh, can no longer really wait. Especially probably getting a little confidence here, so I got to take any opportunity I can to whittle on that. Um, Now we're practically even in chips too, so makes it a much different situation. I still got plenty of time though. It's not like I need to start shoving on the button or anything. And here's a good spot. I believe he donks here, and you want to play against the donk bets. They're usually pretty weak at best. Sometimes it's total error, but they really can't stand a raise. And so what I elected to do here was flat the flop, see what comes on the turn, and I was raising the turn 90% of the time. I elected to just do a min raise on the turn. No reason to invest any more money than I had to. He was likely total error on that, especially since there was no draws on that jack high board. And I would probably go with this hand. If he 3-bet me, I really wouldn't like it, but it may not get any better than this. So at some point you do have to gamble. As it was, we got to take it down. And I believe that shows that he's calling a little bit more out of position. Seems like we've played more, and as long as he's doing that, I'm way the favorite. If I get to play a lot of hands in position, and he goes back to limping on the button. Of course, I completely whiff, so there's nothing I can do. And we'll just keep up the aggression on the button. Alright, now he 3-bet me. I believe that's the first time he's 3-bet me. So we'll take that note. We might have to snug up a little bit. But we don't. We go ahead and keep betting. Players are not really likely to 3-bet twice in a row anyway, without a hand. And it's a lot easier to not have a hand. So now I decide to go ahead and 3-bet, I believe, here with the ace. It's not really all that good to players that limp a lot of buttons. That means their raises are a little stronger. But at the same time, I can't. I gotta attack him some. So and the ace high was a good enough hand to start attack with. Okay, well, see, he limps on the button here and lets me just completely smash a flop. I go ahead and let him make a bet and go for the check raise. Now, when he flats, I'm assuming he is limped with an ace, and that's why I went ahead and shoved the turn. Of course, naturally, him folding makes me think that I should have value bet the turn instead, but I think a shove is fine. A lot of the times he's going to have an ace there and think that he has trapped me. Jack 8, I probably thought for a second if I wanted to see it, but again, I don't want to play hands out of position. Why bother? Why bother if I'm not 3-betting anyway? So he donks here, and it's not a very good board to get aggressive with because it's the paired board. People just not going to believe you all that much. So I went ahead and let him have it. He's not going to get to do that very often against me, though. And this is a good spot to go ahead and attack his limp with the ace. Now I would go for a check here, yeah, and I would call. It's possible that he could run me down. Now, of course, when he's not betting the turn, I gotta go ahead and bet. I can't let him have a free shot at, hitting a gut shot. But I would have tried to let him bluff. And of course, we don't want to raise every button. 7-3 is just not good enough. Now the ace queen is just almost good enough to go ahead and get it all in. Depends on how he plays. We're definitely opening for a 3-bet. I don't like being shoved on, but I think I think we're probably gonna call. As it was, he flats. And I just smashed the flop. There's no better flop. Not folding anything. The only thing I need to worry about is how to get his money. I go for making a really small bet with the pot size. I want him to call with 9-10. Let's get it in. As it was, he decides he looks as he I think he believed my bet was weak and decided his hand was good enough to shove. And in most cases, he probably would have had enough fold equity to justify the shoving. Thanks, guys, very much for watching.